Imagine entering an 18th century European palace. The mirrors are French, the gilded curves look unmistakably Rococo, and the room appears to tell a purely Western story. But look again. A blue and white vase stands above the fireplace. Lacquer-like panels frame an imagined landscape. Flowers, clouds, birds, and asymmetrical branches move across the walls. These details were not minor decorations added at the edge of European art. For centuries, objects and images from China helped Europeans rethink luxury, color, surface, nature, and even the shape of a beautiful room. This is not a story of simple copying, and China was never the only influence. It is a story of admiration, fantasy, trade, misunderstanding, and transformation. It is the story of how China quietly changed Western art. The most powerful messenger was porcelain. Chinese kilns had spent generations mastering pale, dense bodies and glass-like glazes fired at temperatures European potters could not yet reproduce. To European eyes, the material seemed almost supernatural. Thin yet strong, luminous yet practical, and able to carry cobalt blue with extraordinary clarity. Small quantities reached courts and treasuries through long-distance exchange before direct maritime trade expanded. After Portuguese ships opened regular sea routes in the 16th century, and Dutch trading networks expanded in the 17th, the volume changed dramatically. Porcelain moved from princely wonder to elite fashion, then gradually into wider domestic life. Europe did not only import cups and dishes. It imported a new standard of refinement, one that its own workshops urgently wanted to understand. Once porcelain entered European collections, its meaning changed. Vessels were mounted in gilt bronze, arranged in mirrored cabinets, stacked above doorways, and displayed in rooms designed around them. Owning porcelain signaled access to distant trade, wealth, curiosity, and courtly taste. Some rulers collected with extraordinary intensity. Augustus, the Strong of Saxony, famously described his appetite as a porcelain sickness, while sponsoring experiments that helped establish hard-paste porcelain at Meissen in the early 18th century. European factories eventually learned to make porcelain, but imitation did not erase Chinese prestige. Instead, a new competition began. Factories copied Chinese shapes and motifs, then combined them with European handles, heraldry, table customs, and sculptural forms. The result was neither simply Chinese nor simply European. It was a new visual language, created by movement between the two. Europe gave this fascination a name: Chinoiserie. The term describes European art and design inspired by ideas of China and East Asia, especially from the 17th and 18th centuries. Some designs closely observed imported porcelain, silk, lacquer, wallpaper, or prints. Others were fantasies assembled from fragments: impossible pagodas, theatrical costumes, unfamiliar plants, playful figures, and landscapes that belonged to no real place. Chinoiserie therefore tells us two things at once. It shows the strength of Chinese objects as models of beauty, and it reveals how freely Europeans remade China to suit their own desires. The China seen on a European wall was often not China itself. It was a mirror in which Europe pictured elegance, leisure, novelty, and escape from its own rules. Chinoiserie reached its European peak at the same moment that Rococo transformed elite interiors. The relationship is tempting to simplify, but Rococo was not invented by China. It grew from European court culture, ornament, theater, painting, and earlier Baroque traditions. Yet Chinese and Chinese-inspired designs offered something remarkably compatible with Rococo taste. They favored flowing contours, scattered compositions, delicate surfaces, birds, flowers, rocks, clouds, and images that did not obey strict classical symmetry. Designers such as François Boucher produced chinoiserie scenes, while decorators folded imagined Asian motifs into rooms of shells, scrolls, mirrors, and gold. The influence worked through affinity rather than a single line of cause and effect. China helped expand the range of forms that European artists considered elegant. The fascination did not remain inside porcelain cabinets. It spread across wallpaper, textiles, furniture, silver, ceramics, garden buildings, stage design, and clothing. European gardens acquired Chinese houses, bridges, and pagodas, often based on incomplete reports rather than direct architectural knowledge. The Great Pagoda at Kew, completed in 1762, turned an idea of Chinese architecture into a spectacular landmark for British visitors. At Sanssouci, the Chinese house staged a gilded vision of leisurely figures, exotic goods, and theatrical abundance. Fashion absorbed the same appetite for silk, loose robes, floral surfaces, and unfamiliar silhouettes. These creations reveal influence, but they also reveal distance. The farther China traveled through European imagination, the more easily specific cultures became a generalized dream of the East. Cultural exchange did not move in only one direction. Chinese workshops studied foreign demand and changed what they made for export. Porcelain was produced in European shapes, decorated with family coats of arms, biblical scenes, ships, maps, and fashionable Western subjects. Artists in port cities translated sketches and engravings into porcelain painting, enamel, lacquer, and reverse glass. European consumers believed they were buying Chinese luxury, but many objects were already responses to European instructions. This makes the history more interesting than a story of influence flowing from one civilization into another. Design became a negotiation across oceans. Makers, merchants, patrons, translators, and ships all participated in the final form of an object. Global art was already collaborative long before the word globalization existed. If the evidence is visible, why is this influence so easy to miss? Part of the answer lies in the way modern museums and textbooks divided art into national schools and ranked painting and sculpture above decorative objects. A Chinese vase might be labeled as trade, craft, or decoration, while the European room built around it was presented as the achievement of a Western designer. Colonial power later made this imbalance even stronger, allowing Europe to describe itself as the center and other cultures as sources of raw motifs. Recovering Chinese influence does not require replacing one triumphalist story with another. It requires seeing art as movement, objects crossing seas, images changing meaning, and makers responding to people they would never meet. Once we look this way, Western art appears less isolated and more connected. The porcelain, curves, flowers, lacquered surfaces, and imagined landscapes were never silent details. They were evidence of a world already shaping itself through exchange. Look again, and the history of Western art becomes a global history. This is East Moment. Discover more stories of Chinese culture at eastmoment.com.